Hello and welcome to Conversations with Amy Berger. This is a brand new series with Amy Berger brought to you by Adapt Your Life. And today we're going to be chatting about weight loss, men versus women. We also have a bonus for you, and it's Amy Berger's 8 Reasons Not to Trust the Scale. We'll put a link for you in the description. How are you, Amy?
I'm doing well. How about you, Glenn?
Very, very good. Thank you. So, something that's not often spoken about is the differences between men and women when it comes to weight loss. What are your thoughts on the topic, Amy?
Well, there are differences, and it's important for women to be aware of them so that they go into a ketogenic or low carb diet with the proper expectations and the proper mindset. Um, there's a lot of debate and controversy over keto in general and whether it needs to be very different for men and women. And I think there's a little bit of difference there. But with regard specifically to fat loss, men just tend to lose body fat much faster and more easily than women do. And there's a lot of reasons for that, mostly to do with testosterone and men just having more muscle mass, which increases just having muscle mass on you increases your metabolic rate, which is the energy your body needs or the calories you burn through while doing nothing, while just sitting around, while being alive. So women just have to understand that it's going to take longer for them. It's going to be a slower process. So you cannot compare yourself to any of the men in your life, even if the man is older than you are. Do not compare yourself to any man that is doing a ketogenic diet. If you are losing fat or losing weight more slowly, that is to be expected. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
And tell me, is this true for all women, or are you simply just generalizing?
There's always exceptions. I mean, every rule seems to have exceptions. So there may be women whose bodies readily do let go of excess fat, and then there are men who will struggle and have a harder time. So there's always going to be a little bit here and there. But if you're a female, go into this expecting that your weight loss will be a little slower than your husband's or your brother's or your father's, whoever the man in your life that you're comparing yourself to.
Now, obviously, this is a generalized question, but what would you expect in terms of fat loss or weight loss for men versus women? I mean, let's say someone embarked on a keto diet and they were doing this for a 3-month period. What are those differences? Do you have an idea of what those differences could look like? Obviously, depending on the size of the person, there's so many different variables. But would you
Right.
say, would you say 20%, 15%, 30%, 50%? What would you say?
I can't quantify it. I can't put a number on it because there will be differences, but and it really does depend. The more weight you're looking to lose, meaning the heavier you are when you start, the more quickly the weight will come off, at least for the first few weeks. And sometimes the first few months, then it will slow down and you'll still lose, but the rate of loss will be slower. So in that scenario, if you're, comparing a man that is trying to only lose 8 or 10 pounds just to lean up a little, compare him to a woman who's trying to lose 100 or 200 pounds, she might lose more weight than him in that time because she has more to lose. So it really is an individual thing. I can't quantify it, but I always make the point to emphasize that even if your fat loss is slow or the scale isn't moving at all, as long as you are keeping your carbs very low, good things are happening metabolically and for your health on the inside. And I know that is not that comforting. It doesn't help the ladies feel that much better when all they want to see is that scale move, or even to feel their clothes, getting larger on them. But rest assured, at least, that even when that scale isn't moving, there are other ways to confirm that keto is still doing something effective for you.
Now, would you say that one of the biggest contributing factors why it's different for men versus women is because of the different hormones?
Absolutely. I mentioned testosterone earlier. Of course, that's a big one. But women, we know that, not even talking about menopause yet, but just during the menstrual cycle, women know that their weight fluctuates a lot and their size just from water retention can fluctuate. And that's normal. It's not body fat gain or loss. It's just shifts in water mostly. And then, of course, after menopause, it does get harder. It is harder to lose weight after menopause. It's not impossible, it's just harder. And I don't know if you want me to. I would like to talk about muscle mass, which has to do with hormones too, but I don't know if that was a different question that you have coming.
No. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. So women struggle also for some reasons that are somewhat related to hormones, but somewhat related to our past behaviors. Women, and this is a generalization, but as a general rule, women are more likely to come from a history, in some cases, a very long history, decades of calorie restriction, lots and lots of cardio exercise. And basically, what that does over the long run is you jettison muscle mass, you lose your lean muscle. And like I said before, lean muscle is one of the big determinants of your metabolic rate. Now, apart from thyroid, which is a whole separate issue, but the more muscle mass you carry, the higher your metabolic rate, meaning the more food, the more energy your body requires. And also, the more energy your body burns through, the easier it is for you to lose excess fat. And so not only do we tend to lose muscle over the course of years where we're not eating enough total food, and especially protein. I constantly harp on this point. Most women do not eat enough protein. But even apart from that, we have become so conditioned to either do cardio exercise or so many people, their moms, they're working, their wives, they have a lot of commitments and obligations. They're not doing any exercise at all. And I say this hesitantly because I don't enjoy weightlifting, but it is true that resistance training, building muscle, is critical for metabolism, critical for physique. So forget even the number on the scale, but your physique, your size and shape, which is really what most people are concerned with, men and women. We say we want to lose weight and we're worried about the scale. What we really want to do is be satisfied with our physical appearance. That, I think, is what most people are aiming for. And building muscle is what's going to help you with that. Now, keto will help you lose fat. Keto isn't automatically going to put lean sculpted muscle on you. And so I think women are very hesitant to enter the intimidating, scary free weight room of a gym, or even to buy a set of dumbbells or barbells and do it in their own home. It's just culturally, at least in the US, it's not something we tend to do, but we can get over that little fear and just do it.
Amy, some say that women are more sensitive to leptin sensitivity. What is your experience?
I honestly can't comment. I wish I could. I don't know that. I don't know a whole lot about leptin, because so leptin, for those that don't know, is a hormone, and it is, I think, secreted by the fat tissue, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a satiety hormone, meaning it gives your brain the signal, I've had enough food, or I have enough fat storage on me. I don't need to be eating constantly. And so some people think there's something called leptin resistance, because heavier people, just like with insulin resistance, we tend to have higher levels of leptin. So you would think we wouldn't be hungry ever, we'd be able to lose weight, but it seems that the brain is not listening to leptin. I honestly don't buy into a lot of that. Leptin was just discovered in 1994. I mean, it's practically brand new. And ketogenic and low carb diets have worked for fat loss for hundreds of years before anyone even knew anything about leptin. Now, do I think women may have more complex or just stronger hunger signals, I do. I haven't read any science on that, but just the fact that evolutionarily, it would have been more dangerous for a woman to become underweight if she's the one that has the reproductive burden, so to speak. We have to have, women will only menstruate and have fertility with a certain level of body fat. And if you become too thin, if you're too lean and your body fat percentage is too low, you will not menstruate. And so evolution might have built it into us to tend to want to eat more than the men do anyway.
And my final question, Amy, is we've obviously been speaking specifically about fat loss or weight loss. What about, are there any differences, fundamental differences between men and women when it comes to non-scale kind of victories, as you always call it?
Yeah, for some reason, it seems to be a little more common for women for their shape and size to get smaller with either no change on the scale or very little change. The men tend to see the scale go down. And that may be because they're already starting from a point of more muscle mass. So the fat just comes off more easily. I'm not really sure. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference there, but I would say I see it more commonly in women that their shape will change even when the weight hasn't moved. And that's why it's so important to either take measurements, get a tape measure, and once or twice a month, do your waist, your hips. Some people do their neck or their wrist, just depending on where you're starting from, or find an article of clothing that is very tight or that doesn't fit at all and try it on once a month. There's other ways to see how things are going besides the scale, for sure.
And other than the scale, for example, the benefits of reversing type 2 diabetes or other sort of chronic illnesses, metabolic syndrome, is there differences between men and women in that regard?
In that regard, no. I think finally there's one area where keto is an equal opportunity benefit. But I'm glad you said that because we were the scale weight, and then take your measurements, go by your clothing, but that's still only talking about body shape and size. Look at all the huge list of things that low carb and ketogenic diets do that have nothing to do with weight. There's even published research now that you can reverse metabolic syndrome with no weight loss. So you can have lower triglycerides, higher HDL, lower glucose, what else is the other one? The lower blood pressure. I mean, and Dr. Westman is constantly saying acid reflux goes away usually just within a few days. Some people that have migraines, those go away. The non-alcoholic fatty liver. Some people's skin will start to clear up. It's amazing what this does. So even if you don't want to think about the scale or your size and shape, so I mean, people's energy levels, the brain fog, think about the little everyday nagging things that affect you and realize, oh, I haven't taken an aspirin in a month and I used to have to take 5 a week. So there's all kinds of other things that tell you that this is doing something for you.
Amy, thank you so much. Lots of valuable information that we unpacked there today. That's all we have for today, folks. Now, don't forget to grab your free copy of Amy Berger's 8 Reasons Not to Trust the Scale. And as we said, we will put a link for you in the description. If you guys would like to learn more about Adapt Your Life Academy and our upcoming courses, we are very proud and excited to say that Amy Berger is going to be launching a new course I think it's going to be the last week of March. So stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see future videos, you can find us on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts under the name of Adapt Your Life. Once again, on behalf of Amy and myself, this is us signing off. Amy, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to catching up with you in another week's time.